Hey everyone, son of a silver stacker here. Welcome to the best U.S. Mint news channel on YouTube. Well, at least it is in my opinion. Today's the 18th of November, 2025. I got a really good one for you today. The United States Mint has not put up its product schedule for 2026. However, there are some 2026 products that are up that the Mint is showcasing right now. Also, we're going to be talking about what's next. What will the United States Mint get rid of next? Is it going to be the nickel, the quarter, the dime, the half dollar, or the dollars? And I'll show you, there's a report that came out in July of 2025 that just might add some, well, shed some light on what's going on over there at the United States Mint with their metal composition changes. Now, before any of that, though, make sure you hit that like button. And please, if you're new here or a returning viewer and you haven't subbed yet, please subscribe. We're trying to get to 15,000 subs before New Year's. I think that's pretty realistic, right? We can do that. Now over to moneymetals.com so I can show you those live spot prices. So gold's down 365, a penny for each day of the year, to 40.55.60. Silver up 19 cents to 50.60. Platinum up 360 to 15.50.65. And palladium up 7.45 to 14.24.10. And Dr. Copper now down a penny to 4.98 per pound. Down here, you're looking at in stock American Silver Eagle, whose premium is $9.49 for a quantity of 1 through 39. They ask that you pay $60.09. Now, this is the buyback. That's the sell-to-them price at 51.78. So if you come over here to these folks and say, hey, I got some American Silver Eagles I'm going to sell you, they're going to be like, all right, cool, thanks. 51.78 each. And is that above the silver spot? Yes, it is. There you go. All right. Next up, the United States Mint's product page for 2025. Let me just double check because you never know. They could have just added it any second. Yep, there it goes. So no 2026 on the product schedule yet. And typically, I imagine we would see a 2026 schedule right here. So yeah, just yesterday, that was November 17th, the William H. Taft Presidential Silver Medal drop. That means that 2 products are left on the United States Mint's product schedule that haven't dropped just yet. Yeah, that's right. 2. December 9th, we got the American Innovation 2025 $1 coin reverse proof set that's going to drop. And that's out of San Francisco. And then the final product out of San Francisco and the product of the year is that Morgan and Peace Dollar 2025 reverse proof 2-coin set. I will only be purchasing the American Innovation one. I'm going to pass on this one. Now let's go to the Mint's homepage, right? So let's go to the homepage here. It says here, time's running out for the U.S. Marine Corps anniversary commemorative coins. That's the commemoratives, not the Marine Corps Privy. That's different, although these are pretty spectacular and they're pretty fantastic. They're beautiful coins, no doubt about it. However, you know what would be really cool is if we can get some 50-cent pieces in rolls for those commemorative dollars or half dollars. Yes, thank you very much. And that's okay if they're clad as well. So here we go. Upcoming releases. You can view the whole product schedule here. I don't believe it's going to be 2025. Yeah, it's not at all. However, we talk about the 2 that we just talked about here. We see 2 that we just talked about. There's the American Innovation Coin Reverse Proof Set, the December 11th drop for the Morgan and Peace, and then bam, next year, right there, January 6th, the American Innovation $1 coin rolls and bags for 2026, featuring the state of Iowa. That's Norman Borlaug. He saved billions of people with what he's done to the farming industry. That's right. So let's keep on keeping on. Let's go here. These are the 4 items that are going to be available. And look at that. They even have the new, I guess they're celebrating the semi-quincentennial with the product packaging. Look at that, 2026 American Innovation, and it's got the 250 Liberty Bell there. And remember, it also has the Liberty Bell Privy on, and it's stacked on top of the stylized gear Privy also. So that's pretty remarkable. So let's keep on keeping on. So you got those 4 product options: the 100-coin bag out of Philly, out of Denver. They got the 25 coin roll out of Denver and the 25 coin roll out of Philadelphia. And I already showed you that. So, and it's only, this is the subscription page. What's interesting, there's only 8,400 right here for the 25 coin roll subscription for Philadelphia. And I think I've also got it there. Yeah, look at this. It's same thing as this year. Denver only has 7,350. So remember, when those Steve Jobs coins drop, you're going to have less offered from the United States Mint with the rolls, right? I'm not sure if it's with the bags yet. I probably should have checked that out. Let's see that real quick here on the fly. I'm going to open both of those pages up here. Subscription 3,150 from Philadelphia, and then 2,950. Yep, same as this year for the Denver bag. right there. So remember, Denver produces way less, well, maybe not way less, but a good portion less than the Philadelphia Mint does. All right. So let's keep on keeping on. Showed you that, showed you this one here. Now let's go over here to CNN. They got an article I want to share with you. It's called, and it's brilliant, actually. And it's something that a lot of us have talked about recently. It's like, well, if the penny's gonzo, what's going to happen to the next coin up in the denomination? The Lincoln, or not the Lincoln cent, but the Jefferson nickel. And it says here, the title even asks a question, and I think it's an outstanding question. And this is, like I said, CNN Business, Chris Sildor, November 6, 2025, asks, with the end of the penny, is the clock ticking for the nickel? And then it shows a bunch of die for the Jefferson nickel. And look at this one. It's just mangy. Looks like, yeah, if you have any coins struck with that one, it might look a little tired. This looks like a good die right there. But anyway, I digress. It says the American penny is history. The nickel might be next. The last pennies were pressed at the United States Mint in Philadelphia on Wednesday, a victim of production costs higher than their worth, coupled limited usefulness. While the penny remains legal tender, banks and merchants are already reporting shortages. But the factors that prompted the government to stop making pennies are even truer for the nickel. Absolutely. And that's something we've said since they made the announcement that they're going to get rid of the pennies. I mean, what's next, right? And this is a very slippery slope, because if they get rid of the Lincoln cent, which they have, and they get rid of the Jefferson nickel, which they're probably going to, the digital currency isn't too far behind. It says pennies cost nearly 5 cents to make, and we don't even have the annual report yet for 2025. The costs could even be higher, all right? 4 cents more than they're worth. The nickel net loss is nearly 9 cents per coin, and that could be even higher. It could be a dime now. It says here, nickels, now this is important here. I got to show you this. Nickels are 75% copper and 25% nickel, while pennies, despite the reputation as a copper coin, they used to be, right? But then guess what? Gresham's law took over, and I think that's going to happen even stronger now, because of the, they're going to get rid of the nickel too, I imagine. And what does that mean for people that want to, pick up a bunch of nickels that are actually copper and nickel? That's important, I would think. Now it says they are copper plated zinc, meaning they're 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. Yeah, that's why I call it the Zinkin cent and not the Lincoln cent. While metal prices can be volatile, zinc costs about the same as it did in late 2016. Copper and nickel prices cost roughly double since then. And there's a good reason for that, actually. I think it might be here. Copper and nickel, all right, are strategic metals, and they recently have been dubbed that by the EU and the green movements and our military. And look at this. Now, copper and nickel are considered strategic metals due to their critical importance to the U.S. economy, national security, and the clean energy transition, especially for products like batteries and data centers. This designation is also driven by concerns over the concentration of their supply chains in foreign countries. And remember, there's 3 major mines down for copper, one in Indonesia, one in South America, and one in Africa. All right. This designation is driven by concerns over the concentration of their supply chains in foreign countries. Companies and government initiatives are focusing on developing domestic sources and recycling to ensure a more secure and reliable supply chain. So, yeah, it looks like there's some, uncertainty as to where they're going to be picking up those metals. So there's importance for national security in the economy, the role in the green economy, and then efforts to secure supply. And you can pause the videos and check those out there. Let's get back to the CNN article now. All right, the U.S. Mint and one of its suppliers, Artisan, have been studying ways to get the cost of making a nickel down to less than 5 cents, said Mark Weller, Executive Director of Americans for Common Sense. The Pro-Penny Group is funded primarily by Artisan, which describes itself as one of the world's oldest and largest producers of solid zinc strip and zinc products. Artisan makes the blanks used by the United States Mint to press coins, and it just so happens, and this is in quotes here, that copper and nickel are two of the more expensive metals you could be using. And we just showed you why. Weller said that. Getting nickel production costs close to 5 cents per coin could be completed within a year, he said, with a new nickel that looks identical to the current nickel. But they're going to have to change the metal composition on that, right? But the nickel's problem don't end with the production costs. Like the penny, the nickel is limited in its usefulness. Americans are using less coins less often, even when they use cash. And let's face it here. Do people really turn in a lot of their, like when you go to the bank, you say, I'd like to make a deposit at the ATM. Do they take coins at the ATM? Nah. And when you take $10 worth of pennies or nickels or quarters with you, do they generally accept them loose, not unrolled? No, they generally don't. Now it says here, this is kind of cool. I thought this was amazing. Okay, it's a worker at the Mint making nickels with different metals during World War II when nickel was needed for the war effort. And it doesn't say what that composition is, because those were part silver, right? 35% silver. And that's why we would love the silver proof set and the limited edition silver proof set to actually have 35%. Look at that rogue planchet, 35% silver is like an homage to the war years back in the day. The Mint is experimenting with, once again, changing the composition of the nickel, this time to save money. And that's from the AP. And I'll show you the article here on the US Mint website. It's really interesting. Other countries were quicker to retire the small change coins. Had to get a sip of water. New Zealand and Australia both eliminated the production of their nickels in the early years of the century and within 20 years of when they stopped making their pennies. Yeah, so it looks like it follows suit. You get rid of the one, you get rid of the other one. Using cash left often reduces the pressure to drop the nickel, as would reducing the cost of production, said David Smith, a professor of economics at the Graziadio School of Business and Management at Pepperdine University. Smith, an avid coin collector, also thinks there's enough nostalgia for the coins to show any move toward eliminating them. Now, wait a minute. An avid coin collector also thinks there's enough nostalgia for the coins to slow any move toward eliminating them. That's kind of what we did with the penny for all those years, right? They've been talking about getting rid of the penny since 1974, and here it is, 2025, and it's finally happening. But he believes it will eventually happen, even if it takes 15 or 20 years. That's right. Just like it said over here, yeah, within 20 years, they stopped making them. All right, Weller said getting rid of coins and moving towards a cashless economy causes problems, especially for lower income consumers. Yeah, I would say so too. For people who use cash, who have been debanked, or people that don't have the best reputation, possibly when it comes to banking, maybe always getting the negative and the charges and whatnot, and the bank booted you. That does happen. And I would say that there would probably be, if that does happen, there'll probably be a grace given to those people, especially when you go move to digital, right? It says here the move away from cash really benefits big banks and credit card companies, he said. There you go. Think about that. Now, if you have $100 bill, all right, and that $100 bill is utilized in so many transactions, well, that $100 bill stays a $100 bill. However, if you take $100 and it's a digital transaction, 1.5% gets taken by the credit card reader company, another gets taken by the credit card. I mean, it just gets chewed down until it just evaporates into nothing. And who gets that money, right? The processing companies, the credit card companies. So yeah, it's just another way for, in my opinion, for the credit card companies to end up having all the cash, or maybe even the companies that do the digital transactions, right? Merchants dealing with a penny shortage are trying to figure out whether they're allowed to round purchases to the nearest 5 cents, and have called on Congress to pass legislation to confirm the move. I didn't do that. It moved on its own. And I've talked about this as well, is that our Congress is showing a lack of leadership, all right, since the president decreed that we want to get rid of the penny. And yeah, they're looking for leadership and they're not finding it. Other companies with strong leadership have already stepped up and said, we're doing this for you. So that's good. At least there is some leadership on this particular problem. Rounding cash purchases to the nearest 10 cents rather than the nearest 5 cents could cause additional problems. Imagine rounding 10 cents. A study earlier this year by the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, Virginia, found that while rounding purchases to the nearest nickel would cost American consumers a total of $6 million a year, the similar rounding tax from eliminating nickels and going to the nearest dime would be $56 million. Yeah, what's a less bite on your wallet, the $6 million or the $56 million? Yes, and I know it's just pennies and nickels and dimes and things like that, but you know, every little bit adds up, and that's how we should look at that. Everything counts in large amounts. Experts say the nickels days may be numbered, but they don't expect a change to happen quickly. And I would think that they would actually change the composition of the nickel before they get rid of the nickel outright, much like they did in 1982 when they changed from bronze or copper cents to zinc and cents. I think they're gonna make that effort first before they get rid of the change altogether. And I think that's an opinion that might be shared with some other people. It says, but even that would come to only an average of 42 cents for each of the nation's 133 million households. And changing the nickel's composition wouldn't eliminate all production cost concerns. Even if a new nickel costs less than 5 cents, it'll be tough to stay below that level, especially since 2.8 cents of the cost of each nickel comes from the administrative and distribution costs, not materials and production. Here we go with the last two paragraphs here, and we'll keep on keeping on. Both Weller and Smith don't expect the nickel to go away anytime soon. The Mint lost money on every penny and every nickel it made since 2006, Weller said, and it only stopped making pennies just this year in 2025. I've had reporters calling me about the future of the penny for the last 30 or 35 years, Weller said, so I don't see there being an immediate change. That's an interesting article. And here's the company right here, Artisan, that they mentioned in the article. It says we're one of the world's leading coin blank manufacturers. We focus on high value, high performance innovations that disrupt the industry. Okay, they're disruptors. Remember that. For example, Artisan was the first company to ever introduce a plated coin option, and for more than 35 years now, our plated zinc-based coin blanks have been in circulation, benefiting our customers tremendously from both security and economic standpoints. Sounds like yeah, if that's what they say. It says here, now we have over 300 billion coin blanks circulating across 20 countries, and more innovations are on the way. Here's just a few of the countries we've crafted currency for. And yeah, where is it? I'll just hit this. Maybe that's why. I think it just froze. Oh, there we go. Hi. Yeah, consider one-stop shop for superior change solutions. Looks like China's might be in there. Don't know. I mean, it'd be cool if we could it would highlight the country. But anyway, whatever. All right, let's keep on keeping on. So I went over here to About Annual and Congressional Reports. And if you go here down to Special Reports, that's what we're looking at here this morning. So I was doing some light reading at 4 o'clock this morning. The Mint released its 2024 Biennial Report to Congress of July 2025. That was this year, just about 3-4 months ago now, on the research and development, R&D, of alternative metals for the nation's circulating coins. And remember, here it is. The report to Congress. I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can find it from this page here. About Annual and Congressional Reports. U.S. Mint releases the Biennial Report to Congress. It is 35 pages long, but there is a search feature, which is fantastic. There's the picture of all the nickel dies. It's very, very cool. But let's talk first about Gresham's Law before we talk about metal composition changes, shall we? Gresham's Law is a monetary principle in economics stating that bad money drives out good, when both are required by law to be accepted at the same value. Think of the silver, the 90% constitutional silver. You're looking at the dimes, the quarters, the 50-cent pieces before 1965, right? Yeah. Can you find those in circulation? No, because they were replaced with copper and nickel. Well, now that copper and nickel are being valued as a strategic metal, a green metal movement, and this, that, and the other high value, right? They're getting replaced by a lower quality metal. And I think Rome did this, right? Rome did that. And, well, I don't want to get too much far into that, but they had the same thing happen. Now, this is the explanation of the law right here, not like the U.S. law code, this, that, and the other. The law primarily applies when two forms of currency are circulating side by side. Yeah, the silver quarters compared next to the clad quarters have the same face value, legal tender value, that is, but different intrinsic commodity values. The bad money has a lower intrinsic value than its face value, while the good money has an intrinsic value to or greater than its face value. Yeah, that's a dynamic that occurs because people act on rational self-interest. Yeah, it's totally rational. Now let's get over here to this biannual report I got to show you. To Congress, as required by the Coin and Modernization Oversight and Continuity Act of 2010, Public Law 111-302. And I put up here just zinc. All right, let's go here, zinc. And that's how I want you to find this. So look up zinc. Now this is the one right here. This is the kicker right here. C99-750 is an alternative metal alloy comprised of copper, nickel, zinc, and manganese. It doesn't tell you the ratios though, and I don't think they want to tell you the ratios, but that's the way it goes. So I had to find that, and you won't believe some of the things I found here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it in here. Right there, pasty, right there, bingo, ding, 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 ding. All right, additionally, let me continue. Okay, so they're looking for different ways to save money on their circulating coinage, and there's 140 of this C99750 that they're going to show here, right? Additionally, the Mint continues researching two forms of C99750 that show promise as a seamless alternative metal for coining that would likely yield even better cost savings. That research is ongoing, and initial testing has shown promising results. So we're going to go just kind of rapid fire through here. This is the one they're really talking about here. It's the low manganese one, not the high manganese. All right, two right here says two C99 750 TM alloy variants were identified in the 2022 Biennial report as acceptable alternatives to the 75-25%, right? 75% cupro nickel. And they have low manganese and they have high manganese. Let's keep on keeping on. Right, got to go through all these, and there's some really good stuff in here, folks. Phase 2, external coin acceptor manufacturer testing. All right, we saw that here. Copper-plated steel penny. They were talking about doing a copper-plated steel penny. I don't think so. Then it has Table 1, revenue, status, benefits, and risks of alternative metal options. And here's that one, the low MN, and there's the high MN. And it says here the risks, production level, benefits, status, estimated savings based on 2024 figures, and the alternative metal option right there in this column. And that's not all, folks. There's actually been some strikes that have happened, and I want to show you these. Now, Table 2, unit cost of producing annual volume shipped to the Federal Reserve. Going to keep on keeping on, right? Table 4, summary of all identified potential alternatives. Seamless co-circulating. Yeah, potentially seamless. Now check this out. In the beginning, initially it says here C99 750 TM. This is low, right? I believe low manganese was no longer considered a valid alternative due to significant color differences when compared to incumbent cupro nickel. However, additional testing and evaluations were conducted during this period to improve color, and then, well, the low MN were identified as potentially acceptable variants. Way to go, testers. All right, let's see, coin blade hardness of dimes and quarters, planchet conductivity. They're looking at planchet conductivity. What? Yeah, look at this. The graphs below result of electrical conductivity performed at 240 kilohertz. However, that's remarkable. Why are they even looking at that? I don't even know. That's kind of a remarkable thing, actually. Let's keep on keeping on, and I'll show you some. Here we go. Here's some of the image one that's here. Right, comparisons of C713 cupro nickel to original, and that's the ones that with the color variations. They're like, well, that's not such a good one. But look at this, bingo! Strike comparisons, cupro nickel to the original C99 750. Wouldn't it be cool to get these coins? Yeah, I think so. If those were ever found in the wild, that'd be pretty wild as itself. Look at these, even more comparison of nickel strikes of original C99 750 TM and 799 750 TM low MN, and then high MN. And there they go. Look at that. That's Martha Washington, I believe, on the obverse. And look at that. It even has numbers here, 00581A, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then this one has some numbers there. Those are 2B on the back. Lots of good stuff in these articles, folks. Like I said, I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can check these out. It is a 35-page report. It talks all kinds of stuff about how the United States Mint is going to potentially get rid and, well, remove copper and nickel from our circulating coins. And that's why I go back to Gresham's law here. You know how many people collect pennies and only collect the pennies that are copper? It's going to be the same thing here when they make the switch to the Jefferson nickels. Potentially the dimes, maybe not. It's a small coin, may not be a factor. But the other factor is quarters. Quarters could again see Gresham's law take effect, where people are going to be hoarding quarters, and now it's $500 for a box of quarters, right? That's incredible. We are in a new phase here, folks, at the United States Mint, and there will be some changes coming sooner rather than later, especially now that the penny has been discontinued. And I think that's going to be about it here for us over here at Son of a Silver Stacker YouTube channel. Let's go to the +1 action here this morning. This one's pretty good, actually. It's Proverb 13:7. They're all really good, actually. but some of them make more sense than others. I think, trying to wrap my head around this one was way more easy than some of the other ones I've come across. It says here, some pretend to be rich and have nothing, while others act poor and have great wealth. Reminds me of that song CCR made by called Fortunate Son. Right, the house looks like a rummage sale. Both these types of people are not to be followed. One is spending what little money they have to pretend to be rich, and soon will be impoverished by their own foolishness. Yeah, they're not very thrifty and that sort of thing. While the other won't fulfill their obligation to give to the poor and the needy. Yeah, the poor and the needy are not selfish and greedy. They're just, well, I'm just saying. That's all. Anyway, let's keep on keeping on to 3 Nines Fine, 99.9 KOIN Coin News Radio. This is the song right here. Creedence Clearwater Revival, Fortunate Son with lyrics. I was jamming to it earlier before I watched the video. Also, you know what I noticed? I can't go back and change the playback speed anymore unless I turn off the ad block. Have you noticed that too? Boy, they're really tricky over there at YouTube. They really change some of the features if you have an ad block. So lately I've had to watch a bunch of ads. Oh, anyway, I guess that's fair. That's how YouTubers get paid, right? So I should be okay with that. Anyway, I want to thank y'all for coming. Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget to hit that like button. And if you do like what you hear and see, please sub the channel. It's absolutely free. What's not going to be free, though, is membership. It's $1.99 a month. It's the price of a cheap cup of coffee, maybe even less, depending on where you go. And, that works out to about 6.6 cents per video. It's not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It's less than, $25 a year to support the channel and to help these videos keep coming out each and every single morning. And I do appreciate you all being here. Hopefully you've picked up some nuggets of information that are going to help you in your direction of coin collecting, coin roll hunting, etc., etc. I do believe that nickel and copper are going to be gonzo sooner than later. I don't think it's going to take 20 years like they said in the article over there at CNN. I think it's going to be a lot sooner than that because it is a strategic metal, and there's a lot of strategery going on right now, if you know what I'm saying. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Remember, it's Taco Tuesday. Stacker out.